Welcome to Moss Marketing Mondays, aka the M3 Podcast. Brought to you by Moss Marketing Group, bringing you everything marketing every Monday. Stay tuned for marketing tips and tricks you can use today. The M3 Podcast, marketing knowledge to help you succeed. Let's get started.
Welcome back to the M3 Podcast. This week, very fortunate to have Dre, Logan, our guest, Brett from NSK Customs.
That's right.
Yeah, so Brett and I have been friends for a long time, family friends too.
Of course.
Thank you for being on the podcast today.
Oh, anytime. Thanks for the invite.
And Brett does a lot of badass shit building pretty much anything imaginable when it comes to vehicles. How long have you been building vehicles?
I think I started probably when I was 13 on a Mazda B2000. Pushed it out of the grass into the driveway.
I don't really know what a Mazda B2000 or whatever.
It looked like an old Nissan hard body, and just started toying with it, four-wheelers and dirt bikes. So, yeah, around 12, 13.
So I want to start from like the very beginning of everything of the story of Brett. I was always faulted in the early podcast days about not getting the full story. And I feel like you have a really cool story that has led you to where you're at now. And
I don't think it's that cool.
I think people listening and people that know you would say differently.
Probably.
Yeah. And
Probably.
you have built an incredible brand here in Kansas City and done a lot. And I know that you look at that I started at 13 toying around with things, but it's led to something so big. What does that progression leading up to that look like?
Man, just, we got big ideas, big goals. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't for my wife, I probably would have never been to where we are and, people to see what we do and what we build. But just starting back in the early days of being young, my dad had me riding four-wheelers at 3. And then he was a mechanic, still is diesel mechanic. So, your fathers, they want you to kind of do stuff like they do. But my dad, to be honest with you, he didn't. He didn't want us touching anything. So he'd go to work. He worked nights. I wake up. I'm like, I'm going to push this truck in the driveway. I'm going to tear this thing apart and put it back together before he gets home. So that's what we, me and my brother toying around. But I just sit in chairs. And the first vehicle we lifted was an 86 K5 Blazer. Built it for my mom. And just sitting there handing tools and watching was kind of like me learning. And it's not what I wanted to do, but I was that kid that would be in Price Chopper looking at lowrider magazines and the Daytons and going, man, this is nice. I want to go to every car show, but my dad wasn't into that. He was just work, ride four-wheelers when we can, and that's it. So just growing up, kind of working on things, and then I don't know, I had my hands in everything. Did carpet for like 4 years, painting houses with my brother for 3, and then being just hands-on, mechanically inclined, I joined the railroad at 18 because I didn't graduate. I don't have a degree in anything. I don't have a GED or anything. It's just hands-on, and I'm not a guy that wants to read. I want to work on stuff. I look at it, and I figure it out real quick. So I joined the railroad, and I swung a spike maul, which some people on here will probably know what it is, 3 times. I said, I'm never doing that again. I looked at this machine. I said, I want to run that. And they're like, you got to go to college. I said, that's not happening, but I guarantee you I'll work on it. So I legitly started working on this machine 2 weeks in on the railroad. And somehow we got a good opportunity, went down to Great Bend, Kansas, got a 4-year contract, 160-mile job down there. And I spent 3 years down there working on the machine. And then my operator, when you're sitting in the machine all day, he didn't want to run it no more. So I'm like, I'll just sit in the back, take a nap. I'll start running it. And that's how I learned. I was running this machine, making $10 an hour. I didn't even care. I'm like, I'm just in here going to town, learning how to run it. And then one day he had to go on a family emergency. So my boss was like, well, we really got to do this job. We have flag time. We have to do it. And he's like, Brett's got it. And he's like, what do you mean Brett's got it? He doesn't know how to run this machine. I'm like, we took it over, and I did the job. And from that day, I joined the railroad for 12 years being a surfacing foreman. So I'm running wiring, I'm doing hydraulics, I'm rebuilding the machines. But then when I'm coming home, I'm building race cars and trucks. So that's kind of like what I told myself is I don't have a degree in nothing, so I have to figure it out. So me growing up quick like that on the railroad and my boss like pushing me as hard as he could was a big thing. So when I came home, I was like, I'm not going to stop working. I don't want to be lazy. So I would legitly either build a race car or we'd start bagging trucks or lowering trucks. And then it kind of just took off when I turned probably about 30 years old. Like it just went nuts. So we went full time into building trucks. So I was coming home lifting trucks on Saturday and Sunday and leaving Sunday night to go back to the railroad.
I think we're going to have to tell people also that we were just talking about having a pre-podcast before the show starts because we've been talking for 30 minutes in the office before we even started. And Brett's like, well, like, yeah, we're busy, but I'm not having to stay till like midnight or 1 right now. So he's like, I don't feel like I'm that busy. I'm like, well, like normal people can go home at some point. And he's like, well, like if I'm not building trucks like late into the night and working all weekend, then I don't feel like I'm that busy.
Yeah, we're not busy.
Yeah.
It's true, man. I mean, I'm just used to going to all of it, just running like nonstop work. And then my wife's like, hey, you ever going to come home? Yeah. Here in about an hour or two. And then I don't show up till 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, we did that for a year getting NSK going. I didn't even want to come home. So she just kind of let me do my thing. And I went just full speed on it because it was me answering the phone, bidding jobs. Yeah. Right up, just all day, all night. So, you know, we got like a 7-inch lift or something on a Chevy. I'm not starting on that truck till 7 o'clock at night because I didn't have anybody to work for me. And I didn't want to pay nobody because I didn't know what we could do. And so I'd stay there all night, work on the truck, build the truck, and then go home at, 1 or 2 in the morning, take a shower, wake back up at 6 o'clock, get to the shop, and take the truck to another shop to get an alignment done so I can give it to the customer. Yeah. So I still have that, we're not busy because I'm going home and we just changed our hours. So I'm going home at 7 o'clock. Like,
you also have a baby.
I got a baby. So, I got to be the dad now and walk the baby at 8. And you're just used to that feeling. Like all my guys, I mean, we have six people that, are my employees that are my friends. And I'm thankful to have because the crazy thing is I've taught them at other places and then they back me up 100%. So I kind of just let them do their thing. I'm thankful for it. But then at the end of the day, I want them to go home. And then I look at 3 or 4 trucks and I'm like, if I just stay an extra 3 or 4 hours, I bet you I can knock half of these out and they'll come to work like, oh, shit, I don't have nothing to do.
I also think, though, that, like, I mean, I've been to your shop a ton of times. Mm-hmm. There's no lack of respect in that I feel like every company has a totem pole, and I feel like a lot of times that respect gets out of whack. Mm-hmm. And I think I was talking to Ricky about it today, that I was watching all these videos and looking at this stuff of all these leaders of these teams that these guys have built. And the difference is you're willing to go in there and work with those guys side by side. And it's like, I'm the same way. I always want to work side by side with everyone that it's not leading from the front, it's leading from next to that person.
Yeah.
And
it means so much to them. And you don't even think of it, but when they're going home in their truck, they're like, damn, dude, the boss even came back and worked with me.
Yeah.
So, and that's how I am today. Kramer, the one that Snapchat famous dude, he's got a weld-in notch, and I'm like, I can't get dirty. So I'm like, I'm just for you. I didn't get dirty. I wore nice clothes. And then I was like, I'm just going to let him do his thing. So I let him loose on a truck that, usually I'm back there measuring, just double-checking everybody's work. I just let them all go to town. So
I feel like that comes at some point in time that I feel like just recently I've started letting my hand off of stuff that I've come to realize that everyone around me is better at what they do than me. And I feel like it's kind of a hard thing to accept sometimes. That's like, you want to be good at things. And like, if you've been bred that your whole life of like, be good at things, like be the best. And it's like, you can't be the best at everything. But it's like when you surround yourself with people that are better, let them go shine. And I think that's that same thing where you're not losing that respect of not doing it, but it's still like, let them show you what they can do.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's kind of what I'm learning. And, you know, same thing back to Kramer. I had a 95 Toyota Tacoma come in, and a kid's 19 years old. He says, I want full air ride done on it. I'm like, all right, let's do it. I literally just gave Kramer the keys. I said, get to work. Handed him the keys, and he starts, you know, he's building stuff. And most people buy kits. We didn't buy no kit. We literally fabbed this one up. And he did all the fab work, and I finally got to the point, like, I'm not even going to come back here. How about you just measure, and if you don't think it's right, you come get me. And then if we're going to box the frame in or fab some brackets up, tack them in. Come get me, and then I'll double-check your work. Everything was perfect, whole build. So, and that's hard to do because when you know the business is in your name, you're like, man, it's got to be perfect. I don't want nothing to happen. But man,
it becomes like I think any person that has any sort of OCD, I feel like it gets magnified when it comes to a business.
Like, yeah, then you got your name on it. That's the main thing.
And it's with anything. Like I even have it with like vacuuming the floors around here. You can ask them. I'm always like got the vacuum out. Like if somebody comes in here, I'm like, I don't want somebody to think like we have a dirty place. Like just of all of it, like from A to Z, and it becomes like I don't know. It's something I don't think you can explain to someone.
Yeah. Once it's yours, you see everything. I mean, I'm like, I need 5 more Bretts just to clean the showroom, clean the bathrooms, take this trash out. Why do I keep telling you to take this trash out? I'm like, come on, guys. Like, come on, let's get on it. So, yeah, I know how that OCD part comes in.
I've been very fortunate with these guys and everyone else that's here that luckily I don't really worry about a whole lot. They're pretty on top of it all.
I do, because I say we're not busy, and these cars are back here grinding and welding, building stuff. I'm like, why aren't you done yet? It's 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
We got 3 more trucks that need to come in. So, my guys, that's what I finally started learning. I'm like, look, we're changing our hours. I want you to go home with your family. Don't be like me. And Saturday, I even cut them back. And I sit here, and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm losing money. I can see less coming in. But if they're willing to wait and get that good service, they're coming back, and that's what we really started seeing. So I'm like, these guys need to go home, spend time with their family, and I need to do the same thing too. And so that's what I'm trying to focus on. So we're even talking about hiring a whole nother crew for next year just to do double shifts, go back open from 9 to 7, and then just work 2 crews. One day
definitely
off.
do it.
Yeah.
It's funny that on that same like topic, I have a buddy that owns a car dealership, and I try all the time to get him on the podcast. He'll be on one of these days, but it's been kind of a force-fed thing. But when I was in the car business, we worked Saturdays. Anybody that works in the car business knows Saturdays is like the day. Like that's what the whole week builds up to is Saturday.
That's where I go, 50% of your money?
Most dealerships,
If not more, yeah.
Most dealerships would say 50% comes from Saturdays. And it was probably 3 years ago, we hang out with him. My girlfriend and I hang out with him and his girlfriend, and and it was probably about 3 years ago. He said that he's going to close on Saturdays. I go, that is the craziest fucking thing I've ever heard of in my life. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Better luck closing Monday.
Exactly. I was like, what? And I was in the car business, and I'm like, you have lost your ever-living fucking mind. And we'd be at the lake, and I remember going up. Probably last year I was at the dealership. It was like Memorial weekend or Labor Day weekend. And he was closed Saturday. Then he had Monday off. I drive in Friday night from the dealership. I'm the last one there. Everyone's there already partying. There's other couples there. And I come in. Everyone's drinking, just having a fucking ball. And I'm like, I'm not going to drink a whole lot. I got to head to work early in the morning. We're an hour away. So then I get up early, drive into work. I'm at the dealership all day long. Late night. So I roll in Saturday night. They've all been out on the boat having a great time. Sunday I get to hang out with everyone. Holiday weekend, so everyone has Monday off and everything. We are open on Monday. So I drive back into work on Monday, drive back Monday night to drive back to work Tuesday. And I was like gone the whole entire time. And still at this time, I'm like, this dude is fucking crazy for not being open on Saturdays.
Well, the holiday days are just weird. It's either you're super busy or you're dead.
Yeah,
There's
so
like no in between.
It's a hit and miss. And after I leave the dealership, it's probably 6 months after I left the dealership, I'm at the lake for the first time on a Saturday. We're out on the boat, and it's probably 2 o'clock. We're drinking tequila, having a great time. He looks at me. He goes, "What would you have paid to be here on a Saturday when you were at the dealership?" I go, "I would have fucking paid anything. Like, everyone's out having a ball on the boat. Everyone's sending me pictures. Like, I want to fucking kill all you guys." I was like, I was pissed. And he goes, "Nice you are. I'm not open on Saturdays." He goes, "You can't pay me enough money to be at work on a Saturday." He goes, "If somebody wants a car that bad, they'll come see me on a Monday." And he goes, over 3 years, he goes, "My actual numbers year over year haven't changed at all being closed on Saturdays as a dealer." And it's just like,
That's crazy.
it was such a different outlook on it that I was like, when I opened this, I was like, you know what? We're not open Saturdays and Sundays.
There was a few times where
We were
like, if we were open Saturday, we can get way more knocked out before Monday. I'm like, yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, we're doing the same thing. And then we get into that cycle of, well, before we hire someone else, I think we can take on X amount more accounts.
Yeah. So we started pushing that Saturday, started thinking about it. And then especially when there's 8 of us and you're like, well, if we worked Saturday, I mean, that gives us a whole nother day. Like, and you take eight people at 8 hours, I'm like, that's another employee. But you just tacked on another day. And it was like, but it's also looking back at the point that you want the quality of life for people.
Exactly.
That not everyone wants to be married to your company. As much as like you may have that vision of your company, which I've been very fortunate that everyone that surrounds us here has the same vision of where we're going. But it's also like, I understand people have lives too. Like, go enjoy yourself. Like, you can ask, I don't mess with anyone on hours, anything like that. Like, if you show up an hour late, I don't really care where you were at. Like, if you had to sleep, whatever.
Yeah, that's how I am. I mean, I got guys that they'll message me. I'll be like 15, 20 minutes late. Don't text me. I don't care. Just show up, get your job done. If you got to work late, you know, it is what it is. But if you try calling in, I'm coming to your house.
That's a little different. But like the other day, I was leaving the office and Dalton was still here working. I'm like hitting the lights and it's 7:30, 8 o'clock, and my girlfriend's texting me. She's like, "Are you gonna come home for dinner?" I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "We'll be leaving here shortly. Blah blah blah. We're doing something." And I'm like, I hit the light and Dalton's like, "I'm still working, man. You kicking me out?" I'm like, "Everyone has keys. You stay as long as you fucking want. I don't care." But it's just kind of funny that how that works. That people that are motivated are gonna get their work done.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the team that you want.
Yeah.
I just feel like trying to find that team this day and age is very rare.
Oh, it's the worst.
And that's where we see it in businesses all over. Like, man, we're hiring. And you see these people just hopping from place to place to place because of that quality of life that they've dedicated, say, 2 or 3 years working 6 days a week, sometimes 7, and they just get burnt out. I mean, money can be great.
Think about when we knew Logan, we worked at Hallmark.
Yeah. That is true. Logan would be hanging out with us on Friday night, and he's like, "Man, I got to leave here at like 10:30." He's like, "I got to go into work at 11." I'm like, "What?"
He's working night shift at Hallmark, running like their whole night shift.
So I had the whole overnight shift at the distribution center, which was 8 managers and 300 people underneath them, and like projects and stuff, which the people that do the projects are there during the day. So that was rough. There was not an amount of money that I wouldn't have been willing to pay to be able to just, have like a normal schedule at that point in my life. And it finally got to that point to where, you just can't live like that.
Yeah.
We had lived at any of our houses, like hanging out. Logan was peace out. Like, well, most of the time someone leaving at like 10:30 is probably because they drank too much. They need to get home, go to bed, whatever. Logan's heading to work. It's like,
See you guys.
I'm like, this is weird. Like,
Yeah, I've never worked nights. I mean, well, I guess I have for the shop, but never for a company.
yeah.
I couldn't do it.
I would never do it again.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I wouldn't ever let a loved one do it either.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have been in a bad situation. There was nights where I was driving home at like 7 or 8 a.m. The sun's out and I'm falling asleep driving home down the highway multiple times. Like there's nights that I just don't remember driving home either. So
I feel like that's really hard too, because as a schedule, you would think that you would just sleep all day, which it becomes very hard if you want to do anything. Like,
Well, that time you were still full-time in college.
yeah, I was doing that while going to college full time.
Not in
college
night classes.
doesn't have night classes, I don't think. So it's like now all of a sudden you're staying up at night. Then it's like going home trying to nap for a couple hours to go back to something. And that was like kind of one of my problems I had when we worked out of my house. Was I know my girlfriend hated it. She liked it in the aspect that I was there all the time, but she hated it in the aspect that everyone would leave and she would make dinner and we'd eat. But then I felt like just because my computer was downstairs or whatever, I could just go straight back to work.
Yeah.
And I felt like I could be back in a office atmosphere kind of that I built in my 2,000 square feet I had in my basement. It was like I walk
You
right
have to hop in the car.
I know. I like go downstairs. I'm like, I'm sitting in my boxers downstairs just going to town. It's like, it didn't matter what time it was. And it was like, she would go up and get in bed and I'd come up. She's like, what time is it? I'm like, 1:30. I'm like, I got this all done. I was like, set my alarm for 5:30 to go to the gym. And it was like, it was a terrible way. Like, I'm very glad I'm out of my house just to give back that, I don't know, kind of a place
A home
of
life.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's Brett's weekend, just going to the garage. She's like, what are we working on?
Yeah, I'm kind of still that way. You know, when we first opened our shop and, you know, we got 2 bays and I don't know how we did it anyways, but, you know, 2 bays. And then I'm like, well, I got 4 bays at home. I'm going to bring the projects to the house and, you know, I got a lift in the house. And she's like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you go to work and then you're finally done with everything. Now you come home and you want to start building full out bag trucks for these customers. So when are you ever going to stop working? I said, I don't know. Not ready for it.
I don't know how you survived in that first building.
I don't know. I drive by it every morning. I'm like, damn.
I would show up. I remember showing up there with my last truck when Brett's doing it, and he's like, yeah, just pull up and I'll get handle. I get there, and I'm like, I really just rock start up front because there's no fucking parking spots anywhere.
You pulled in, I'm like, how are we getting out of the parking lot?
I'm like,
Oh, man.
here's my keys, and there's like 2 dudes over there with like jacks in the parking lot jacking shit up. Brr, brr, brr. I feel like I was at like a NASCAR race.
Yeah, I mean, that's
And
what it was.
I was like, what the hell's going on here? And he's like, yeah, we got 2 bays. Your truck's in Nick's and everything. He's like, you're good to go. And I'm like, and people are just flooding in the place. I'm like, what the? I'm like,
That's why I poured concrete up top because I didn't know what else to do. I'm like, all right, I got 2 bays downstairs. I got 1. I was like, that's where we did all our lift kits and lowering kits. I'm like, but now I'm like 2 months booked out. People are getting pissed off. And they're like, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm like, great. Now I'm going to have to fix that when it comes back.
yeah.
So I'm like, so I was like, fuck it. I bought another lift, hired another guy, and then I'm like, shit, now we're out of room. Where are we going to do the wheels and tires at? So I poured concrete up top, and I'm like, well, we can fit 3 cars in the parking lot. And the next thing I know, I'm building stuff in the parking lot, hoping nobody steals it.
Oh yeah, it was like left and right up there. It was very organized chaos going on everywhere.
Yeah, rolling wheels and tires up the hill, going to put them on the cars, and man, I probably was an asshole boss for making them do that. But hey, that's how we had to get going.
I was sitting down there. I was like, "You want me to help you like roll wheels up the hill?" And there was like this young kid was like, "Yeah, man, that'd be great. I got a lot of up there." I was like, "All right,
Carry wheels downstairs.
Opens the
tires.
garage door, it's full. Dane's like, what I just signed up for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I say something, my back hurts.
The fire department come in like, you're not allowed to store all these tires in here. You didn't see nothing.
Yeah,
You didn't see
here's
nothing,
$100. Go the other
Yeah,
way.
see you later, buddy. There's only like 300 in here, but we're good.
So, I mean, I feel like your new shop's sick, and like you have all kinds of space.
Yeah, you go from 2 to 12 bays. And they're already full.
I
We're
know,
not
I
busy.
say
We're
that.
not busy.
I know I say that, but then it's
Everyone's
like,
going home on time. It's weird.
I say that's plenty of space, but then you go by there and the other day, or I say the other day, it was like, what, a month ago or something. And I'm up there, and I mean, all the bays are filled. And what did that transition look like from your current space to that space?
I don't even know. I mean, I just remember. You want to hear the whole story about me even getting into that space?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, so hold on one second. Before we jump into that, let's back up for a second. So obviously, from a young age, you enjoyed working on stuff. When did NSK, or the thought of making it a business and kind of turning it into what it is today, when did that come into your mind?
The dollar bill is still hanging on my wall. It was 11/19 of 2019 at 10:30. I signed my best friend's wall, which is pretty much brother. Dad adopted me. I signed his wall in the garage. We were drinking a few beers. Of course, Corona, that's the best one. Signed the wall at 10. I think I signed the wall at 10:42. I signed his wall. Said, I'm starting NSK. I'm done. Like, we're going for it. Woke up the next day. He sent a picture because I was on the railroad. Like, I would go help the railroad out because they're in desperate need, like, running into emergency. So I'm like, listen, this is what I'll just contract me out. I'll get all this going. So at that time, I'm like, but I'm going to start a shop at the same time. So then I'm back to juggling the railroad, helping them out because they had a couple people quit, and they needed some serious work done in Kansas City because the roads were terrible for bridges. So we got that going, and then we started the shop. So, we're juggling both. But literally on 11/19 of 2019 at 10:42, I signed that wall. And then my buddy sold the house, and on my birthday in May, he literally cut the wall out, and he sold the house. Cut the wall out, big old piece of sheetrock, and put it in a frame, and it still hangs on my wall. So it just went from that shop to this shop. But, yeah, 3 years ago is when we started it. That's almost 3 years ago.
I feel like that comes to like a surreal, like, kind of feeling that when it's – I know it's kind of the same thing for me. And it was – I feel like a lot of these guys have the same kind of deal because they jump ship to something that wasn't established yet. Mm-hmm. I'm coming to them, and it's like, hey, join me in my basement. Let's make this something. Like,
I know you're at a stable job, but
but it's like
trust me.
It wasn't like I was going after people that were like, hey, I know you don't have a job right now. Like, come work with me. But it was like everyone that was here had very solid jobs.
Yeah.
And
that's the scary thing for you because you got to take care of them to take care of their family. And that's my biggest situation. I get scared.
And it's like, it was scared, but it was like I've always been so sure of what's going to happen as long as the right people are in place. And it was like I knew I had to have the right people. And it was like that surreal feeling of when we got our space and I sat here, like, even though we'd been in business for 2 years, it was like that was the day that I like sat there. I'm like, we've built something real.
Yeah, we pretty much started the same time.
Yeah,
it was the same deal. Yeah,
and it was just like it was like one of those things that like I'm sitting here looking at everything and I'm like, I really have an opportunity to build a life different for everyone that's here. It was like when you kind of look at it that way, it's an opportunity for yourself, but an opportunity for everyone around you.
Yeah,
and it was, I think the same thing as like you start off in this 2 bays, like, hey, you know what? I could sit here and build trucks in the back of this place and make a good living for myself. But now you're in a 12-bay shop that you're making a great living for a lot of people.
Exactly, and they got a future to look up to because I don't stop. It's I'm pulling tire guys into suspension. They graduate from tires. I don't want somebody sitting same job doing it back to back to back. I'm like, no, dude, you need to just get better and better. So in wintertime, I usually grab my tire people, which as long as they're mechanically inclined, and I'll start like, hey, let's do a level kit. And I'll grab my techs. I'm like, here, start teaching them. That way they can go somewhere. They don't feel like, oh, man, I'm stuck doing tires my whole life. I don't ever want anybody to be stuck on any job. They can graduate. They can go open up their own shop. I mean, I'll shake their hand and congratulate them, whatever they need to do. So that's the main thing is always taking care of the people that work for you is the main thing because at the end of the day, even though it's your business, they're helping you out, so you always got to take care of them.
I think that's a respect for people, too.
Yeah.
Like I've told everyone that's here, if they ever get some crazy job offer or anything, I will never have an ill feeling toward them.
Yeah.
I'm going to high five them. They can still come hang out with us, everything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not like if it's something to better them and their future and what they can do is I'm never going to – I try to give everyone the best opportunity possible, but there may be a point in time where I can't give somebody the best opportunity for them as an individual.
Yeah, and that will happen. It happened to me. It happened to me in my old shop. I had one of my main my main techs that did lift kits, you know, he pretty much like, I got to go. So, okay, well, sorry, I can't pay you enough. I'm just getting going, and have a good life. But you're more than welcome. Like, if you need side work or whatever, you're more than welcome to come back. His job lasted 2 weeks. I said, I'm never working for nobody again. I'm staying with you. I said, told you, man, I'm not that type of boss. Bonuses, you know, I take care of everybody, but I'm not that boss that people think of. I'm more of like your friend and family. But when we go to work, it's time to work. Like, this is your job, but I'm not going to come back here and why isn't that on the truck yet? Because everybody works different. That was my hardest thing, was like, I know on a certain truck I can have this diff pulled out of this truck and put back together before lunchtime, so you know the truck's going to be done at 4 o'clock on the lime rack. See you later. So I could walk out there and I'm like, it's, you know, 12, 1 o'clock. That diff ain't out. I just walk away. I had to learn to teach myself, like, not every day everybody's going to work like you, because this is your business, so you're going to go hard as you can. They might not have had enough sleep, or they had a bad day, but no matter what, at the end of the day, these guys always have the truck done. So if one guy gets his truck done, they jump over. So it's like a whole family deal at my shop, and that's what I like. And that's why I always tell them, if you find something that's better, go for it. But if you need to come back, let me know. Hopefully I have a spot. So
Yeah.
you can't always, I mean, you can only do what you can for so much. So
I want to knock on wood. I haven't had to mess with that yet. I hope I never have to mess with
it's
that.
the worst feeling.
Like,
it is the worst feeling.
That will probably be the thing that puts the biggest pit in my stomach in the whole entire world, if it ever happens. But it's also, like, I mean, we all hang out together. Like, this is the group of friends I hang out with all the time.
Yeah. And that's how it is for my shop. I'm just like, you know, it's the same thing. You're with them every day, and I joke with all my guys. We have fun. You know, we're videotaping every day. I try to make it to where you want to come to work. And, you know, we give them special things every month. We try to help them out, you know, loans, cars, whatever. You know, I try to take care of it. Just surprise them with stuff that we're like, man, it's so cool to work here. Like, our alignment guy, here's a car. You need another car, here you go. Don't pay me back. You know, just certain stuff that you can do.
I ain't buying Logan a car because he's driving expensive shit now.
Your guys, I don't know, man.
Yeah, easy there.
But no, just like my tire tech, we built his truck last winter. He's got, we call it the shit box. It's a 95 OBS, and is legit the shit box, getting shirts made and everything. We bagged his whole truck for free. You know, he bought the kit and we did all the labor for free. So we're constantly, you know, you got to treat them like your family. I mean, I got plenty of stuff I got to build. I got a SEMA truck I was supposed to build this year, and I washed my hands of it. I said, we'll do it next year because it's my dream truck. I want it 100%. So
you sponsor my truck, and we just build my truck up for it.
I'm not doing none of it. Man, I don't think it's going to be a good year this year for it. So, but yeah, we just try to take care of all of our employees, because at the end of the day, they're feeding me just like I'm feeding them. So it helps out everything.
I think you can tell that, like, when you're at your shop and everything like that. I don't do as much crazy stuff, like, but we have Logan and Dalton. I think they're trying to, if they leave, they're probably going on the national, like, ping pong tour or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'd like it to be the PGA, the golf, but
I don't think they golf enough to be on the PGA, but they play enough ping pong to go on a ping pong tour.
I live on a golf course. I don't even golf.
Really?
I can't even afford a damn golf cart.
I can't afford a golf cart either, but I do have golf clubs and I golf.
Yeah.
I don't even have one. I watch all the golfers.
I just can't swallow the price of golf carts.
Bad hit.
Yeah, that one's in the pond, dude. I seen that.
let me give you a piece of advice. Just don't start.
I'm not going to. I did it one time on some private island. I don't even remember where it was. And first ball I hit, it just went straight to the building.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I'd bought a Polaris Ranger, like 6-seater and everything, drive around my neighborhood. I was like, I'm going to have something cooler than all the golf carts riding around. And they're always worth money. Like, those are something that I feel like is a real tangible item that is worth value. I can't swallow spending $10,000 on a golf cart with fucking, like, a stack of batteries in it.
Man, there's so much money now.
Easy now.
Dude, it is ridiculous.
They go all the way up to almost 18 grand. I'm like, come on.
See, we bring up the battery thing. Logan gets
We can take the batteries out of his car.
Good luck.
He's going to be sitting out in the parking lot.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about those golf carts. The players and stuff like that have
real
when
motors
because-
in them. That's why they're fucking worth
No,
money.
Dane was talking about how everything was value, and back in, you bought that right before the C word, COVID.
Yeah. No, I bought all my toys before that, and then I bought a new 24-foot enclosed trailer. I had it all fucking decked out. I had my Ranger. I put sound system in it, did all this stuff to it. Bought new motorcycle and blah, blah, blah. And then COVID hit.
This is when toys were making Dane happy.
That's why I first started MMG, kind of like it was in the end of my dealership days, and I was like, the only thing that's going to make me happy is if I can fully exonate everything. I want to be as far away from whatever this is work-wise. Now it's like I can't wait to get back to work. But I thought these toys were going to be like the fixing to this being unhappy phase, and I bought all these things. And then after I started Moss Marketing Group, and everything started going well, and then I was like, I actually really enjoy this. I'm like, I go out and golf with people. I got to go out and have lunch with my girlfriend for the first time, and they've been messing with me because my voice.
It happened on the podcast.
No, but I got to go have lunch with her for the first time in 3 years. And it was something that was like the first time that I got to control my time. And I was like, I'm not chasing to go use these toys all the time. And then fortunately, I was like the only one that bought all these toys, and I made a small fortune off of selling
Oh,
them.
yeah. Yeah, because everything went up in price.
Everything was brand new. I bought all of it new, and it was all like...
Stocks went down. Dane sold all his stuff, made profit. I'm like, you would be the one.
Yep, exactly.
So I can tell as leaders and as business owners, you and Dane are a lot alike. And I find that common with a lot of the business owners and leaders that we have on the podcast. For you, where do you think that, like, did you always have that, like, leadership mindset within you, or was there a certain point where you realized that was important? Was it when you started your business, and how did you develop that?
No, it just came natural because me and my wife talked about it before, and it's been since day one. When I go to do a job, I'm not trying to show off for a boss or any of that. I was, not say trained, I just learned from my dad. Like, when you're doing it, you do it all and you do it correctly. So I'm not the guy that's going to get on your phone and play and this and do all this crap. I get the job done. The quicker you get the job done, the quicker you go home. So I was constantly like, I'm just, like I said, I'm hands-on. I pick up really fast. I watch you do it one time, I'm done. I already know how to do it. So it would just come natural. So it'd be like I would just always go to help people. That's where I've noticed I'm always helping and helping and helping. And I always said, one of these days I'm going to get help back. So, which has been happening a lot lately. But it's always been, I don't say that I'm a leader. I think it just kind of comes natural, and it's just kind of always been my thing. So
From most of the time when I speak with business owners that do well and have seen success in this space, one of their biggest things, and I just made a post on it today that I spoke about it on another podcast, but putting others first. And I feel like that's such a valuable factor in business, that if you're putting someone else before yourself, that a lot of people don't know that I don't take checks from Moss Marketing Group. I've been fortunate enough that I had money set aside, and my girlfriend also does well in real estate, to where I've been able to bury everything back into this company.
yeah,
But it's making sure I take care of everyone around us.
exactly.
And if you do
that's
that,
what you do.
it builds a culture, it builds a following, it builds to where everyone wants to follow that path. And I think so many people, like, could I have taken money and done a lot of things differently? Yeah. Could I have put a lot more money in my pocket over the last 2 years? Yeah. Would we be where we're at right now? I think that answer is no, if I would have taken more money. Personally, I could have done a lot more and probably flaunted stuff to other people to look like I have more money and things like that. But it's also like, that's not my end game. And I feel like so many people that go to make money is like, I never want to be somebody that at 40 years old, you get to the opportunity where you can buy a $30 million jet. You can have a $30 million jet, but if you're flying the motherfucker around by yourself, not real cool.
Nope. Not at all.
You don't have a single friend to even show your jet to? Not real cool.
Have you been flying around in a $30 million jet?
Yeah, I haven't told
I
you
thought
guys
you
about it.
have.
I was going to say, it could be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's like one of those things I feel like so many people get to that spot and they sacrifice every single thing to get there. Their marriage that they had, their friendships that they had, their lives that they had or relationships they have with children, all these things to get to something that is a material item.
Yeah. Oh no, it's everywhere. Yeah.
And you watch it and it's like, was that really what you thought you was on the other side that was greener or whatever? Was that really worth it?
And I'll say that it's even the same, like, for employees that work within companies. So I was fortunate enough at Hallmark to work for a very good leadership team, and our plant manager there, the book that he gave to all the leaders within the plant was on servant leadership. So kind of like everything that we've just talked about encompassed into this book, and
I
was how he
Logan
wanted.
was telling me I need to read books.
Yeah, I mean, you probably could.
It'd be a short book.
Picture book.
He wanted that. That's
All pictures of the
well.
podcast.
Anyway, he so this book is what he gave to every like new leader that was hired into the plant or promoted, and across whatever platform it was, whether it was just a section manager that had 38 hourly employees under them, or it was, you know, an executive that had the whole organization under them. Time and time again, if the person took that book and led by the servant leadership principles, their team loved them and oftentimes performed the best. The ones that didn't, all of their team hated them. You know, they might have gotten promoted a couple times or succeeded in their own position based off their projects, but they had a team of individuals under them that didn't like them, didn't want to come to work every day, and didn't have any passion. So in whatever field you're in, whether you're business owner, employee, it's important to keep the servant leadership and the, you know, thoughts and feelings of others in mind.
I think that's just where it goes back to respect. You
I think-
sit there and
Yeah.
we all have mutual respect for each other here. Everyone probably at your job, Brett, has mutual respect for each other. And that's what at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, something happened. I'm like, not everyone needs to know about it. If there's an issue just with one person, you go to that one person. It's like, hey, someone contact me on this. Let's figure this out. Not everyone needs to know about it.
Exactly.
And you get it done. It's handled. It's not a big issue. But I think that also goes into communication where, hey, I'm not going to communicate. We're just going to push that off. A month goes by. That becomes a huge issue. Wasn't handled when it needed to be. And then I think that's where the respect and just communication, those aspects can cause huge issues in, I think, any organization.
But
Yeah.
that loops all the way back around to kind of real big, like not a triangle.
In your plane loop?
Circle. in that jet loop. It loops all the way back around. But it's I feel like it's just a lead by example kind of thing. And last night I get home last night and I preached to everyone here going and working out, taking care of yourself first. Like I think taking care of yourself is like one of the most important things. And I'll tell Dre right now that it's, if you miss the gym in the morning, the only excuse that you have is you were lazy, and that is only on you.
I don't know why you just called me out.
I'm calling you out. Nobody on the plant is like, hey, so-and-so hit me up. I have a 4:30 breakfast in the morning. I can't meet you for the gym. Like, there's no excuse in the morning.
There's actually a breakfast meeting at Price Chopper at 5.
Yeah.
I think
Still
this
got
is
the
like the
buffet?
third or fourth time Dre's been called out for not working out in the
Every
morning.
time,
Someone
dude.
let us know how many times Dre's
Yeah,
been called out by Dan.
I'm going to have Ricky. I want Ricky to put a tally here. But
Ricky said
it
he
was
could
like,
edit this out.
I preach about it all the time, but it's also something that last night I get home and I'm like, we have to leave the office at 7:30 in the morning. Tell my girlfriend about it, and she's like, so you skipping the gym in the morning? I'm like, no, I'm going to get up 4:30 in the morning and go to the gym. And she goes, no, you're not. I was like, 100% I am. Get up 4:30, I go to the gym, and then I get back from the gym. I walk in, she's still asleep, but I get back to the house at like 6 o'clock. She's like, I thought you already left. Like, she's half asleep, and I'm like, no, I'm already back from the gym. I'm like, she's like, what? And I'm like leaving the house, and she's like getting up. And it's one of those things that if you're going to ever lead by example, don't ever ask somebody to do something that you don't do yourself.
Exactly.
Like, I feel like that is like the worst thing that business owners, managers, whatever, anybody that in any business, in school, I don't care what it is. If you ask people to do stuff that you're not willing to do yourself, you don't lead by example, then it doesn't work. And that's where I think in Hallmark and what you do and what anyone does, if that manager at Hallmark comes out and sweeps the floors with you, and when he tells you to sweep the floors because he has something else to do, you have no problem doing it. The guy that's never swept a floor there, that's balking orders to sweep floors, he's like, fuck you, dude. I've never seen you sweep a floor.
Yeah, that's spot on. I mean, you couldn't be more accurate.
No,
We're just going to sit here in silence watching Drake chug Busch Light.
It's done.
did you not work out this morning?
No, I was actually too busy. I had to pick up Dane's girlfriend this morning to take her back to the house because she was dropping her car off. So
That's because I was working, so that's fine.
just want to bring that one out because
You could have easily made it back home if you met me this morning. I got to the gym at 5.
I think I picked
You
up
could
at
have
like
been there.
5:15, somewhere in there.
8:15. You had 3 hours to spare.
Numbers.
But yeah, I think that leadership, I just think that all plays a huge factor into the success of companies and how that. I always call it a totem pole. And I just think that there's a way it runs and operates to pan out correctly.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's like like Pedro always videotaping me at the old shop. Like, does your boss do this? I'm downstairs grabbing tires. I'm mounting wheels. I'm throwing them on the vehicle. That's just who I am. But when you really look back
this
at
is
it,
probably
you
the cleanest I've ever seen you, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't even feel right. I feel roll right on the ground real quick. Hoping the truck broke down on the way here. But, just going out there working with the guys. And then, I mean, literally, if you have just a set of wheels and you carry them to the guy, get him right behind him so when he's mounting them, he's ready. Or you open them and you put them on a tire, that helps him with about 5 to 10 minutes of work, and they appreciate that so much. So even it's just the little things of not even like me even thinking about being a leader, but you just like I try teaching the guys, like, if you're just standing there and this dude's over here working, why are you not over here helping your guy out? Because I watched him help you out. So you all need to work as a team. So same thing. Phones aren't ringing, no customers in. I make my walk all the way through the shop and all the way back through, grabbing trash or helping the guys out. So
And when you do that yourself, it builds a culture of that and teaches everyone that works there to do that.
yeah, because they'll watch you. They'll watch you walk through the shop like, oh shit, what kind of mood's Brett in today?
Losing
'Cause
Drake
they
to the
know.
bathroom. This is normally about par for the course.
Oh boy,
Child's bladder.
another bush.
Being a business owner, I know a lot of times I think people discount how much goes into being a business owner and how much goes on behind the curtains.
I'll make it real easy. Being a business owner, to other people that look at you, you're rich. That's all you hear. You're rich, must be nice. Yeah. Far from rich. I live paycheck to paycheck like everybody else. I dump all my money into my shop. I don't plan on being rich. I just plan on being who I am, building what I build, making sure everything's taken care of. And, I mean, I'm telling you, if the shop blows – well, it did blow up. I'm not going to say if it does.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate that the shop did
It literally
take out.
has blown up
Literally,
already.
like, if you people know, we went from 2 bays to 12 and just a massive shop in 2 years. It's crazy. But that's the main thing. If you're a business owner, you're rich. But the thing is, behind the scenes is people don't see that you don't sleep. I'm fortunate to where I don't have to do a lot of paperwork because I'm not going to lie, I suck at paperwork. I don't do my taxes. My wife and all that handles all the booking and stuff because that's just insane. But if you're a business owner, you automatically know you're not sleeping. And if you are sleeping, there's something wrong because I run the whole day through my head how many phone calls we had that I was there and I heard who did what to what truck went out, call that customer, make sure it's good. Did that truck get greased? Did that car get lowered correctly? Alignments are good. I run everything through my head. So when people are eating dinner at 6 o'clock, I'm still at the shop or spending time with their family. I'm usually still working, but even when they're sleeping at 10 o'clock, my ass is still staying up, making sure, running everything through my head. Every vehicle got inspected. And then what is the next thing that I need to do, except for what's happening next week? I'm already building something 6 months ahead. Like what's getting ready to happen? How's the economy going? What do we need to look into? So when you're a business owner and people sit here and say, it must be nice, must be good to have all this, you're rich, we work our asses off. And it's not just us working. It's literally we're dumping everything we have. We're feeding our crew. They're taking care of us, but we are literally not sleeping, and we don't get to spend time with our family. So that one time that my ass is going to Mexico or I'm on vacation, I'm going to tell you, it is nice. The one time I get off.
And I think it's funny how
the perception of that is just so skewed.
The perception is anytime that, you have a nice vehicle, you're rich. It's like, well, you don't really know how taxes works as a 1099 employee then. Like, whatever it is, like, you must be rich. Like, you don't understand that you have to have office space to house people. Like, all these things those are business expenses, but it's also those elevate a company and push that company to the next level and push all this stuff forward. And I think you said something in that about economy. And that is like probably my biggest pet peeve of every company we work with. And you can ask them, I get on a rant about this, on how people drive their own economy. And we work with 80 to 90 business owners of Kansas City currently. And we have seen nothing but growth since we've started. I do not accept anything but growth.
That's what you want.
But economy is not going to dictate that. And you can look at any way you want. You want to look at, guess what? When economy goes down, the number's going to skew from 10 to 20%. The top 10 to 20%, whatever number you want to give.
And that's the exact reason, like you guys both just said it, you're not doing it for the money or the paycheck. You're doing it because it's what you're passionate about and what you love. And that's why companies like that succeed even in economic downturns.
Yeah. And you watch that those downturns come from that 10 to 20%, whatever number you want to look at. They are spending money, the top 10 to 20% are spending money no matter what, even in an economic downturn. To where we come in like June, like mid-June was when the R word started getting thrown around. It was like recession, whatever it was.
I didn't even care.
I literally do not care at all. Yeah. Like, I came in and I think somebody like said something, I'm like, I really don't want to hear that fucking word at all.
No, my buddy Jake, that's all he would tell me. I hope he listens to this shit because I'm tired of hearing it.
And all it is the media too. I mean,
and it's people listening to bullshit that I look at it. And I told them when we came in, you can ask everyone in this office. They're like, well, in the news, like they're saying this, this, and this. I go, guess what? This is our biggest opportunity. Become fucking millionaires. And we're going to. Because guess what? This is the time that we get to create our destiny. But it's so many people create their own recession that I don't know.
But I think it was. I think within the employees, like people within a staff can sit there and they hear that word and say like, owners want to go this way. I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z. And then everyone within the company, they're like, man, that's just not obtainable. And then they all pull back. It's like, hey, I need to do more of this. And then that, I think, is a detrimental downfall to a lot of companies just self-corrupting within just because they think it's going down. They're not ready. They're trying to save, pull back on their end, and then that ends up screwing the company.
Yeah, you get what you believe is possible in anything. Yeah. If you believe that you can do it, you're going to do it. So whether it's owner, employee, in an organization, if that person has the confidence to do their job and believes that the job that they are doing is impactful and has results, then they're going to keep being successful at that job, even when stuff does happen. Even if that's going on, inside that role, if you guys just keep doing the right thing, you're still going to get the same results.
I think that's where a lot of times people stop pushing forward. Mm-hmm. And I think Bradley, he had a whole podcast. He was talking about this guy that started all these hot dog stands. He had the best top quality, all beef hot dogs, blah, blah, blah. Creates a stand, goes from 1 to like 250 of them. And his son goes to Harvard. He made enough money so he could send his son to Harvard. Son goes to Harvard, gets a degree in marketing, a degree in business, all this shit, comes back. And he goes, economy's turning down. He goes, we need to cut back. We need to get cheaper hot dogs. We need to get cheaper buns. We need to get all this stuff.
The Harvard son said that?
Yep. So he says, we need to cut back on all this shit. And he goes, we're going to make more money, actually. And he goes, because we're going to cut down on the product that we're offering. He goes, our profits are going to get higher, all this, and we need the higher profits to survive through this economy. This guy goes from 250 hot dog stands back down to 1 with his son's advice from Harvard, because he switched up his whole business model. And I was guilty at one point too, that I was talking with a business owner that we work with yesterday, that when I started into the marketing space, everything I did was so different. And everyone that was watching was like, it's not the right way. And we started seeing this growth. Then after all of a sudden we had this like team around us, and I was like, hey, we should be doing everything like everyone else is doing. Dumbest fucking thing I've thought since I've opened. I go, we need to be more like these people that are these big companies. I started doing this other shit and started like kind of tearing back down. And then I was like, you know what? We're going to go back to doing the way I want to do it.
That's how I do mine.
And then it starts fucking tearing back up. And I'm like, you know what? Every time we do it, like our content is not the way everyone else's is. I'm okay with that. Anybody that sees shit from us should know that it's from us. And it's like once we started doing that, it goes fucking straight up. And we don't need to be like someone else. I think so many times in business, people think that they have to be like someone else, and they create their own recession.
Yeah.
And they drive with this economy, and they watch what the news tells them that is supposed to happen.
You think
what they're supposed to think.
You think Amazon's affected by anything?
I watch the economy because I know I'm like, all right, well, they're saying this is going to happen. Prices are going to sky high. And I'm like, everybody's like, oh, they're not going to buy nothing. I said, yeah, they will. Watch this, because here goes my pricing. I start dumping stuff. I'm like, so these wheel companies are going to want us to buy a bunch of shit. So I wait for that month or two. Like, oh, man, we got these wheels for this price. So I snag everything I can. Nobody else can buy it because they already bought too high. Well, then I take care of the customers and I give it to them super cheap. Yeah. I could sell for way more, but I'm not that type of person. So it just kind of snowballs.
You're leveraging economy,
and,
which is
and that's the right thing to do.
And letting the economy dictate what you do is
I will never
things.
let the economy dictate me for nothing. I mean, we're going to stay going no matter what. I don't care what it is. I just watch it.
He's going to have like 48 bays, and he's going to be like,
I'm telling
economy's in a fucking dump.
Watch this recession.
Put wheels and tires on fast, and I can see.
Full.
Yeah.
I think the big difference is the time frame that people think within too. So a lot of people who are fearful of, those bad times are short-term thinkers, and they're afraid of, I'm not going to be able to get through these couple of months or this period of time. If you look at the growth of a company, the ones that are playing the long-term game and for that end game, their growth isn't just linear. There's those periods where they kind of slow down and go down a little bit, but when they keep that same mindset and that growth mindset and don't let that period in time affect them, the spike afterwards is tenfold. I mean, you look at that with any major company after a recession or whatever it may be, and they keep doing the same things the right way, and when things come back, it goes even higher.
And as a business owner, sometimes, I mean, all the time, you have to take a step back and look at what your product, look at everything that you're offering, look at if it is the most valuable to the client, whoever that is. And I've had to do it multiple times since we've opened. That at one point I'm like, why are we having this disconnect of like, we've tried to bridge this communication gap that I feel like is a huge problem in the marketing space. And in the beginning I felt like, I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing it. And so when we didn't have a lot of accounts, and I was just doing it myself. I was like, after we got too many accounts, I couldn't bridge that communication gap all the time. There was things that I forgot, and I owned up to those mistakes. And I was like, those are things I forgot. Our process that we had wasn't correct for scale. So then all of a sudden we have 1 month that some accounts drop off, and it was my communication problem. It was no one else's fault. It was my fault 100%. Where then it's like we have to step back, and we need to formulate a different onboarding process to where this doesn't happen again. To where then we go back to the drawing board, and it's like we have sheets now that every account gets onboarded differently than it did the first 18 months that we were in business.
First 21 months.
First, yeah. Majority of the time that we've been around, we changed a lot of processes, and it's like that was something I messed up that has to be fixed, and we have to figure out how to fix that. And since we fixed that, you can ask them is when like we were going like this, and it went like straight up, and it was just something because it was an issue I didn't realize was there. Then a lot of business owners would just let it be a problem, and it's like screw those people. It's like their fault. And it was like, no, that was definitely my fault. Yeah. It wasn't their fault whatsoever. I dropped the ball. We have to fix how that's happening. Now in the future, if that shit happens, everyone's going to know.
To point.
Yeah. Everyone's going to know. So then it's going to be a different conversation that we had. That it's like at that point it's going to be something else that has to be handled, and figuring out what makes that better.
Well, I tell everybody we're human, and the same thing working on cars. I mean, just going back to the custom work, it doesn't matter what we do. I don't even care if I put a level on your truck. I'm like 500 miles, bring it back, retorque, whatever we need to do. If you hear a noise before then, it could happen. I mean, we're all human. We're not a damn robot, so anything can happen, and that's just how we learn, and that's probably why it happened to you, is because you have to learn. Yep. And if we don't learn, then that means we're doing something wrong. So you're always going to have mistakes.
I think when, as far as like the systems and like the organization of a business go, I think when you're one of those people who is just like the gritty type of person who's like, let's just get down to work and get it done and get results, I think some of that organization and like the systems part is a little bit more difficult to grasp. And that's a part in every business owner's journey that they have to realize take that step back like you had.
Which I'm definitely the person that like, I just want to get to work and just outwork everyone.
Exactly.
Which
Brett's like, really?
What do you want to do?
You want to come do lifts after we get done with this?
We can work till 3 a.m.
Yeah. But it's like, I enjoy that side of it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes like that can take you so far.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you have to take a step back saying like, if there are mistakes that are being made, figure out what they are along that path. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what helps people grow, helps make a better company. But it's also, I think a lot of times people try to hide those things. They want to try to like cover them up. Like I have no problem like telling people like my communication only worked just so much. When we cleared that 50, 60 accounts, started becoming a lot. People would be texting me all the time. I'm like, yep, got it. Get it handled, blah, blah, blah. And I would screenshot them and send them to our group chat. And they know that, like, when people text me, I screenshot them, send them to our chat for everyone to handle. And I'd forget them once in a while. I'm, like, in the middle of doing something. I'd be in a podcast. Somebody texts me. I'm, like, screenshot it. I'm, like, I'll send it to them when I get in the truck. And I forget to do it. Then I have somebody who's like, hey, we were supposed to have that hiring ad go up last week. Like, what happened?
It's those growing pains. And that's
like,
exactly what I'm going through right now because before I came here, Pedro said, hey, did you get all 5 of your quotes figured out? And I said, oh, shit. That's the thing. It's called growing pains. I'm in the process right now of trying to find another salesperson. But then I'm at the same point like, I really don't want to because we're getting ready to be at that time, like a dealership, the slow time. So I want to make sure I approach it where it needs to be. That way we can afford them, train them how we want. So I'm hoping here in the next month to have that same deal to where I have a new sales guy because I'm at the point now I can open a whole nother business off my cell phone because it went too far. Yep. So that's the problem I'm having is communication now, and I feel bad to the customers, but a lot of them know me, and I'm like, look, man, if you want it now and if I'm out because I'm trying to figure stuff out, then you need to call the shop, and then they'll get you quoted. So I'm kind of at that point like I feel bad because I'm not taking care of them like I should, and which I always said I would, but then it's at the same point I have a shop number 2. Call them if you need something to quote because I'm not going to give it to you for free if that's what you think, because it's my cell phone. It's not going to be $500 cheaper.
No, I just like your cell phone just because I feel like we're friends. And
If you called my shop, I'd think you're sick.
Yeah, I don't know a shop.
If that's not Dane's number, don't answer it.
I like send him screenshots. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm looking for.
Scam.
He's like, next Thursday we'll get you in. It'll be
I just feel bad because I'm like, I'm working on a 68 Ford now, and I should have already had it quoted. And I'm sitting there like, oh, shit, I forgot about that. And that was 3 weeks ago. I call the customer. I'm like, hey. So I'm like, oh, no, we know you're busy. They own a company, too, so they kind of know. But I'm just like, no, it should have already been done. But then when I get to the shop, you know, just from me being here for however long, when I go to the shop tomorrow, it's going to be probably 50 messages to go through.
We're going to have Sindre in to help you in the morning.
Yeah.
Put him to work.
I'm only part-time here, apparently.
Well, I guess you'll probably miss workout tomorrow, too.
He'll probably miss the gym.
You just head
I'll
on
be over
to
at
the shop
NSK
after
early in
this.
the morning.
I want to make sure you're at NSK at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's why you missed.
No, you can just go sleep there tonight so you don't miss.
It'll be the first time you have a really good, solid excuse for this.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're going to be at the gym in the morning?
No, he's missing it.
Would you just look at the time?
So what's your vision for NSK? I know we kind of talked about the transition to the new shop a little bit. You're getting settled in there. We're losing Dane to the bathroom now.
Thank you for calling him out because he called
Yeah.
me out.
He
I was
did.
wondering
gotta
if
call
anybody's
Dane.
going to call out the boss man.
What's your vision for NSK? Where do you see it going in the next? What's your timeline?
To be honest, there is nothing. To be honest with you, 100%. I always said it's just going to be me and probably 2 guys, or just me and 1 guy, and just to where we live comfortably. But then being a business owner, I always said if you get too comfortable, then you're not doing something right. You're not going to make it. If you're comfortable, you are not going to make it. So then it just kind of another guy, another lift,
Yep.
more expensive tire equipment, more tools, and it just kind of went. So I really don't have a vision, to be honest with you. I just I'm going with it, and it kind of took off. But I have one goal. I'm not going to tell you guys. So when it does happen, and the next year, I'll call you, and then we can talk about it on the podcast.
We'll have to have you back for a second.
It's already in the
podcast.
process. I didn't think it was ever going to happen, but knock on wood, hopefully it does. And 100%, you guys will be like, oh, shit. So
I was going to say,
All right,
did you imagine where NSK is at now? Did you imagine that?
no, not even close. The crazy thing was, I'll wait for Dan because I never even told him the story either, but just to go from, I called it the taco shop because it looked like a restaurant, to where we are now was just crazy. We did not expect it. My wife's looking at me like, I think you're going too fast. I'm like, I'm just going with the flow, and I think it's time. So I already think it's time again. So that's why she's like, really?
You just said you're too slow.
Yeah, I know. We're slow. It's scary, but the kids are going back to school, and
You're going to have so much more free time now.
no, not my kids. Just kids.
Just kids.
When the kids are going back to school, parents got to fork out a lot of money, and me and another guy in the NSK team were big givers. So us just bringing back to school, we just did a massive donation. I think we did over like 250 backpacks full of school supplies, and we still have a whole bunch. So we're getting ready to donate a whole bunch more, but we're constantly always giving back. So, but yeah, always coming back to school year, it slows down. So that's when I'm kind of stressed out. But to be honest with you, that's when I'm supposed to breathe and relax. And I'm sitting there like, oh man, we got bills to pay. We're in a big shop now. Everything's like, let's get rolling. Everybody's like, can we breathe? They've been going crazy the whole time. I'm just like, yeah, we're booked out. We're cool. But being a business owner, you're always going to say you're slow if it's not jam-packed like Dane would say, yeah, because you're used to working 24/7. So, yeah, it's not.
That's what any week we have that we don't have like.
It was about last week. We were just trying to stay above water.
Yeah.
And then this week, Dane's like, so what's going on? I'm like,
And then all of a sudden
It slowed down?
It came in like tenfold, and then I was like, we're back on track.
That's how I am. I'm like, all right, this roller coaster, I've had enough of it. I'm calling my wife. I'm like, did you post everything on Facebook? What'd you not do? I'm like, we're slow. Phone's not ringing. And she's like, everything's done. I'm sitting here like, man, this sucks. And then I come in Monday, and it was like, got hit with just everything. Like, hey, let's sell 10 lift kits. I'm like, oh shit, we're already booked next week. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm like, do you sell anything, Pedro? Like, what have you been doing? Eating burritos and shit? Like, come on, man. I'm like, I'm trying to like enjoy my week. A lot of running around, dropping stuff off, making stuff happen. And I'm like, you sell anything? But you know, that's the main thing. It's just you want to keep it flowing. Just make sure, because it's not about me making money. Trust me, everybody loves money, but I just want to pay the bills and just kind of.
It's always easier, like, as I know people always like want to pay the bills. People always want to give like raises, doing all these things as a business owner. And I think a lot of people don't understand a lot of times, like, you have to take money to like make things work. You have to do all this stuff. And then there's like repayment of that money. You have to like do all these different things as business owners that it's like we chase ad spend in our space. And it's like, that's a lot of money. And that's money that isn't money that's directly there in the beginning.
Yeah.
And the one thing is like a business owner that always makes you feel better, makes you feel more safe is onboarding, bringing on more work.
Yeah, as long as you have the work, because now that we have this Google Calendar we've had for a year or whatever we got set up with, so we book everything. Because I told Pedro, I said, man, we'll never be big enough. I'm not using that damn computer. I hate computers. I know how to look up what I need to look up and sell offline and stuff, but I'm like, I'm not going to start using Google Calendar and you leaking it to my phone and all this. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm at the doctor. They're like, hey, can you do this appointment? I'm like pulling out my phone like, he really got my ass. I'm really using this thing.
It becomes like a problem. That, like, I have somebody that hits me up and they're like, hey, like, we need to meet next week. And I'm pretty much at the point where I was like, yeah, my next week is completely booked except for one day.
Yeah.
And it's like, it sounds stupid, but I'm like, literally, I've booked down to the hour pretty much of like 4 out of 5 days. I'm like, hey, I have this one afternoon available. And they're like, that's it? I'm like, oh, next week, the week after that, I have like 2 days available if you want that week.
That's why I want to get another sales guy, not only to help everything and then with the customers and then with the communication, but I've had it to where Pedro's like, hey, man, I need to leave like 3 or 4 hours early. All right, see you later. And then I'm like, how the hell do you run this shop, dude? I can't. I mean, it's, hey, Brett, and then the phones are ringing nonstop, and then I got 20 customers in here, and I'm like, how the hell do you do this? He's like, I told you, that's why I don't pick up the phone most of the time, because that's how busy we are. And I'm like, but I'm at that part to where I'm like, man, we hire that sales guy. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
What am I going to, I don't want to be that guy that comes in.
You think that every single time, and I've done that every single time.
You're like, what am
I hit that like threshold of like, I literally physically can't do anything else. I'm like, we need more help. And then I hire somebody on. And then all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck do I do now? Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, then you find all these things to do. And then it's like you hit that threshold again and you're like, I need help again. See you later, Logan.
I'm going to call myself out. I'm going to the bathroom.
No, but then all of a sudden you like hit that threshold again. And then you're like, all right, I need someone. And I'm like, I finally got to the point where I've started looking about a month or two when I start feeling like that threshold's coming.
Yeah.
Like, right now I'm at the spot where I'm looking for 2 or 3 people. Like, I've hit that threshold in multiple different departments in a company. Where it was like, beginning, it was just like, oh, this one thing's a little heavy. I need to find somebody on that forefront. We have ad building. We have social management. We have content creation. We have all these different things. And they come in influxes, and now it's like on every single forefront of what we do. I'm like, we need help here, we need help here, we need help here. And I'm like, just everywhere.
I think we could double the staff.
If we could just double up everything right now, it'd be fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I know that's what's going to happen with us. I'm just going to have to bite the bullet when I hire this person. I mean, I know what I want to do, but because I'm not the person that wants to be up front. But you got to make sure they're selling.
But the thing is,
merchandise.
Like, I feel like up front, the selling side, that I have people that I know that are in the auto space and a lot of different spaces, that they are like the heartbeat of that company.
Yeah, that's the thing, because everybody's like, oh, there's Pedro and Brett, and the crazy thing is, I've been doing it for so long, I know what's going to work, like what's going to fit, what we can do for this color. You can always upsell what you're selling quick if you know what you're doing. So, it took me like 2 years to teach Pedro some of this. Like, or a year and a half, and he's still learning. But I'm scared to hire somebody and then not be able to be up there. But this is not part of what I was telling you. We'll come back when we do this other thing I'm telling you about. I'm getting ready to. I really want to pull a trigger and venture onto something else for Jake, the one that wrote. I wrote on the wall and he cut it on the wall. He's a big time fabricator, welder, and designer. I really want to open up a fab shop, and I've been wanting to do it for a long time. And this is another opportunity for him to grow and get out of what he's doing. So I'm in the process of buying a cutting table, and I'm going to start building our notches. We're going to start building track bars, face plates, and it's hopefully going to build into the
You heard it
frames.
here first, folks. On the
You heard it here. We're bringing it in, and I'm planning on having it first of the year. And
I feel like that's something though. Like if you come into the space with that, you're going to own the space.
that's
very
what
quick.
that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm not going to take credit for it. Obviously, with me having the shop, I can push a lot of the stuff, but I'm going to make him fight for it. But I'm going to bring that to the table. So we're going to go ahead and get that rolling. I believe I'm just going to pull the trigger and buy everything. And, here's your business. Let's get it going. Let's get these frames going. And, because we're getting a lot of questions on air ride and fabrication. I'm just sitting there like, I think it's that time that we just bring it back to Kansas City. Not everybody has the money for it, but the people that do have it need it done, and we're the ones doing it now. Like I said, I just had a 19-year-old kid come get a Toyota bag, 19 years old, still in college, and just spent $10,000 working 2 jobs to bag his Toyota that he got from his grandpa. I mean, so anybody can do and build what you want. So we're going to go ahead and jump on board, start fabbing, I believe.
So I know that we could talk for days and days and days.
Where he asked him about his 5-year goal, he says he's not telling us.
Oh, okay.
Not even 5 years.
Not in 5 years.
I will say that.
A year, actually. He said a year.
I tell people this all the time, that it's like most people ask me a goal, and most of the time I don't tell them because it's too far out of sight for what they can imagine. And I also think a lot of times when you tell people that, they think you're bullshitting them or something. And if I sat back 2 years ago, told people what I was planning, this did also come faster than I was expecting. But if I would have told people my goals, they'd be like, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure.
That's the drive for me.
Yeah.
Just say, yeah, okay. And I'm like, all right, watch this.
Yeah.
Let's
But
all
it's just
know.
like, I finally came to the spot where it's just like, you know what? Like, we're doing great. Just watch. I just let the success speak for itself.
Yeah, that's all you got to do. Sit back, and then, when they say must be nice, and, oh, you're rich. You know what I say now? I'm like, yeah, I'm rich. What's up?
One day
I got all kinds of money. I ain't got shit. But I'm going to tell you I do because you keep saying it. So I'm like, yeah,
One
I'm
day,
rich.
Brett and I are going to be running around Lambos, and in the back of it, they're both going to say, must be nice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's going to happen. Yeah.
I always ask this question to everyone, kind of to sum up the podcast. It's kind of a 2-part question of what would you go back and tell your 20-year-old self, kind of also with what you would recommend to business owners that are listening and watching?
What would I tell myself?
I know it's a pretty loaded question. I always wait for the biggest loaded question right at the
I don't know what I'd really even tell myself.
You don't need that much sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, sleep's overrated. You
Yeah,
sleep
I
when you're
mean,
dead.
I don't sleep. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think I'd change anything.
Yeah.
Even, no.
If you could know
'Cause
something different at 20 to now,
To know something different,
that what you know now, if
Oh.
you could tell yourself, you just
nothing. Seriously. Because the crazy thing is I had goals in my life saying I'd open up a shop by the time I was 30.
would you move that goal earlier?
Nope.
No. I'm waiting for a railroad track that goes through the back of NSK that he also works on, like railroad shit in the back of it.
No, I really don't think I could tell myself anything. To be honest with you.
Well, damn, I was hoping for a better
Well,
answer than that.
No, I'm sorry, man. I
What?
really don't.
Hey, respect the honesty.
Yeah, it's
What would you tell the business owners that are watching if you could give one piece of advice?
just keep pushing hard. Don't listen to anybody to tell you to run your company different. And like I always say, if you feel comfortable, it's bad. That means you're not going to move forward in life. That just means you're on a comfortable road and you're not – I'm not going to say you're not going to be successful. It's just I've seen it too much. When you're comfortable, that means you're done. You just gave up with what you're fighting for and what you're working for. If you're not stressing out, then you ain't working right. So
Always push to the uncomfortable.
always push.
Uncomfortable areas.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
If you're scared, that means do it. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
If you are scared, then do it. Because then you will regret. There you go. There's your 30 to 20 if you're scared. Yeah, there you go. If you're scared, jump and do it. Don't say no.
That's that fear thing I talk about all the time. I don't believe in fear. It's not real. And I think so many people get this fear factor in their head. It's an illusion made by your own mind. Danger is real. Like if you go out on the street, you can get hit by a car. That's danger. But fear is not real.
Yeah.
Fear is something that you create. You create an outcome that may never happen. And it's like all the time that I'll slightly catch myself doing it. And I'm like, what if? And I create this fear that I'm like, it's something that's never happened before. I just created that.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very valuable lesson for people in all business that, I don't know, if it gets scary or something, or you're creating those fears in your mind, then you're on the right track.
Exactly. Yeah.
And always push it. Any last thoughts, Dre?
No.
Logan?
Where can people find out more about you?
NSKCustom.com. Get on
Customs
our website.
with a K.
Yep, Customs with a K. You can get on there. You can find us on Instagram, a lot on Facebook, constantly doing shows once a month now.
They build some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
If you like,
A lot of sick stuff.
vehicles and at all, you've
We'll
got to
build
check
whatever
them out.
you want. It doesn't matter. We'll make it happen. You can bring a shopping cart. We'll build it.
What can you do with a shopping cart?
Bring it to
Dre's
me.
got a couple.
What's your budget?
So next time we have the NSK podcast, we'll have Dre's sick-ass shopping cart sitting here.
in the
that he
middle,
said.
boy.
I'll be sitting in it.
Yeah.
But we will tag everything for NSK below. If you need anything vehicle-wise, I mean.
Yeah, if we can't do it, which that's not really a thing, we got plenty of people, plenty of shops. We know a lot of people. We can always help guide you to what you need. So,
And you guys always stand behind everything you do.
100% lifetime warranty on everything I do labor-wise. I'll never give it up.
So if you want your stuff done right, hit Brett up.
Absolutely.
And I think that is going to end the M3 podcast for today. And I do think Ricky's still here, right? Oh, we get a key Ricky today.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.